I did it. I sold all of my MSTY shares, all 2,500 shares at a loss of $22,000. So why did I do it? Well, I calculated my dividends ever since I purchased in November, and I had a break-even point, meaning subtracting all of my dividends from the cost of purchase, then what was the break-even amount that I had to sell or I would be underwater in the red. And unfortunately, it met that on Friday, and I had to sell because I didn't want to risk my capital being depleted. I really value my money and I want it to return and expand and grow. So definitely wasn't able to risk MSTY going down even further. Here is the last 1 year stock performance comparison between MicroStrategy in the blue and MSTY in the orange. So let's take a look at their peaks. November 20th, MicroStrategy was at $473 and MSTY was priced at $44. So I started buying it here around the $30 range in November, and I thought it was a steal because I believe that Bitcoin and MicroStrategy would just increase in price. Well, I was proven wrong. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dip here on April 8th. MSTR was $237 and MSTY was $17. And I thought that was a great price to buy it around $17 range because at that time it was like the 52-week low. All right, so let's go ahead and continue our comparison. Another peak here was July 16th. MicroStrategy was $455 and MSTY was $22 range. So it was hovering around the $20 range, but then something happened here where it dipped under the $17 and it just plummeted and it just couldn't really recover since then. And today, as this recording, MSTY's at $13.51 and MicroStrategy is at $309. The last time MicroStrategy was at $309 like a year ago, MSTY was so much higher. I'm trying to find one. So like right here, it was still hovering around the $27 mark. So I'm really disappointed in what is happening with MSTY. Did I make a mistake? Only time will tell. I really do hope that MSTY recovers and does better. MicroStrategy does better. Bitcoin reaches its peak, but we just don't know what will happen, and I didn't want to take that risk. So let's go ahead and hop onto my screen and take a further look at all of the trades I made, all of the dividend payouts, and the break-even amount. So let's take a closer look at all of the transactions I made during the last 12 months of MSTY. On September 26, I sold my entire quantity of 2,500 shares for a very sad and low price of $13.36, which resulted in returning $33,399 of my capital. But as you can see, I was a huge hardcore MSTY fan. I bought all the way up until August, 100 shares at $17. I thought that was a steal. I mean, anything under that price, which was like, I think the 52-week low at that time. So I was a huge hardcore fan. As you can tell, I kept buying. I bought every chance I got. And I spent a lot of money, thousands of dollars. Even here, I bought 300 shares at $21, worth $6,000 here. So I kept buying because I believed in MSTY and its potential and MicroStrategy. But unfortunately, I just didn't want to risk any more of my capital. And I had to make a tough decision of just selling out because what if it just depleted even further? All right, so what was my initial price? On November 22nd of 2024, I bought 100 shares at $34. Okay, now if you think that's a lot, actually MSTY was in the $40 range and I thought this was a great price. But as you can tell here, I lost $22,000 in my total investment of MSTY, which is pretty sad. So you're probably thinking, yeah, but you received dividends, right? So let's go ahead and calculate that into the total amount. So I'm going to go to filter transaction types, and instead of all my trades, I'm going to go to dividends. So let's go ahead and apply. And here are all the cash dividends, and I will miss them. You know, 2 grand, 2 grand. I mean, let's look over here. In May, I got $4,000. And if you saw my last video when I referenced that's how much I lost in April because of the Trump tariff wars, and I was devastated. And to get it recuperated back in here, I was like so pleasantly happy. And I had to let go of all of these dividends. So I got a total of $23,799. And I knew I didn't want to risk it going under the amount of the dividend shares. Well, friend, what would you have done differently? Comment below, because I'd love for us to learn from each other and increase our wealth together, $1 at a time. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future stocks that I'm researching, investing in, and if you like this type of content, then we can become YouTube friends. I hope to connect with you soon. Check out all the links down below that I provided for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.